Hello, today we'll be going through practice questions 10121110 for the CompTIA Server Plus exam. Let's begin. An administrator is investigating a physical server that will not boot into the OS. The server has 3 hard drives configured in a RAID 5 array. The server passes post, but the OS does not load. The administrator verifies the CPU and RAM are both seated correctly and checks the dual power supplies. The administrator then verifies all the BIOS settings are correct and connects a bootable USB device in the server, and the OS loads correctly. Which of the following is causing the issue? The correct answer is C. There are multiple failed hard drives. RAID 5 can tolerate only one drive failure. If 2 or more drives fail, the array becomes inoperable, and the OS will not load because the data can't be reconstructed. Since the OS loads from a USB, the rest of the system is working, pointing to the RAID array as the problem. Why the other options are incorrect? A. The page file is too small. A page file issue wouldn't prevent the OS from loading at boot. It might cause performance problems or errors after the OS has loaded, not block the OS from starting altogether. B. The CPU has failed. If the CPU has failed, the server wouldn't pass post or load any OS, including from USB. Since it boots from USB, the CPU is working. D. There are mismatched RAM modules. Mismatched RAM might cause instability or failure to post, but in this case, post passes and the system boots from USB, so RAM isn't the issue. E. RAID 5 requires 4 drives. RAID 5 requires a minimum of 3 drives, not 4, so 3 drives is a valid setup. Therefore, the correct answer is C. There are multiple failed hard drives. Which of the following load balancing methods would be best described as each connection selecting the next path? The correct answer is D. Round robin. Round robin load balancing distributes client connections by sequentially selecting the next available server or path in a rotating order. Each new connection is sent to the next server in line, regardless of load or source. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Least connection. This method sends traffic to the server with the fewest active connections, not the next one in order. B. Source hashed. This uses a hash of the client's IP address or other identifying information to consistently send that client to the same server, not rotating sequentially. C. Most recently used. This method prioritizes the server that was last used, often assuming it's still warm or cached, not simply picking the next in order. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Round robin. Which of the following should be configured in pairs on a server to provide network redundancy? The correct answer is E. NIC. NICs are commonly configured in pairs for network redundancy. This setup, known as NIC teaming or bonding, ensures that if one NIC fails, the other can take over, maintaining network connectivity. Why the other options are incorrect? A. MRU. This is a network setting related to packet size, not a hardware component used for redundancy. B. SCP. SCP is a method for securely transferring files, not related to hardware redundancy. C. DLP. DLP is a security strategy to prevent data leakage, not a hardware redundancy feature. D. CPU. While some high availability systems use multiple CPUs, CPUs are not typically configured in pairs, specifically for network redundancy. Therefore, the correct answer is E, NIC. An administrator has set up a GPO to disable USB drive access on company's servers. The GPO is set up as a computer configuration policy and does not use security groups filtering. The administrator is testing to ensure the policy is working correctly. A server in the accounting OU works as expected, but a server in the sales OU is still allowing access to USB drives. The administrator runs the GP update force command and tries again. However, the server still allows access to the USB drive. Which of the following is the most likely cause? The correct answer is C. The scope is not configured correctly. Since the GPO is a computer configuration policy and the issue only affects server in one OU, it's most likely that the GPO is not scoped to apply to that OU. GPOs must be linked to the correct OU or set of computers to apply. If it's only linked to the accounting OU, it will not affect the sales OU servers. Why the other options are incorrect? A. The WMI filter is not configured properly. There is no mention of a WMI filter being used, and the question specifies the policy works on one server but not the other, pointing to scoping, not WMI filtering. B. Item level targeting is not configured properly. Item level targeting applies to user preferences in GPP, not standard computer configuration policies, so this doesn't apply here. D. Loopback processing is not configured properly. Loopback is used when user policies need to apply based on the computer the user logs into. Since this is a computer policy, loopback processing is irrelevant. Therefore, the correct answer is C. The scope is not configured properly. A technician recently applied a patch to a working server. After rebooting, the technician notices the server is unable to connect to a nearby database server. The technician validates a connection can be made to the database from another host. Which of the following is the best next step to restore connectivity? The correct answer is C. Check the firewall rules. Since the server was working before the patch and now cannot connect to the database but other hosts can, the issue is likely local to the patched server. A patch may have modified firewall rules, blocking outbound or inbound connections. Verifying and correcting the firewall rules is a safe and quick next step before rolling anything back. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Enable HIDS. A HIDS helps detect threats but does not resolve connectivity issues. It's a monitoring tool, not a fix. C. Change the service account permissions. There is no indication the problem is related to permissions. The service account was likely working fine before the patch. D. Roll back the applied patch. This is more of a last resort. Before rolling back, you should first investigate and try to fix simpler issues like firewall rules. Therefore, the correct answer is C. Check the firewall rules. An administrator is only able to log onto a server with a local account. The server has been successfully joined to the domain and can ping other servers by IP address. Which of the following locally defined settings is most likely misconfigured? The correct answer is C. DNS. If the server can ping other servers by IP address but not by hostname and is unable to authenticate with domain accounts, the most likely issue is with the DNS settings. Active Directory relies heavily on DNS for locating domain controllers. If the DNS server is not correctly set to the domain's DNS, domain logins will fail even though the machine is on the network. Why the other options are incorrect? A. DHCP. If DHCP were misconfigured, the server might not get an IP at all, but since it can ping other servers, it clearly has network connectivity. B. WINS. WINS is used for NetBIOS name resolution, which is outdated and not typically needed for Active Directory or domain logins. D. TCP. TCP being misconfigured would cause broader network issues. The fact that the server can ping others by IP means TCP IP is working correctly. Therefore, the correct answer is C. DNS. A server technician downloaded new firmware from the manufacturer's website. The technician then attempted to install the firmware on the server, but the installation failed, stating the file is potentially corrupt. Which of the following should the technician have checked prior to installing the firmware? The correct answer is D. MD5 checksum. Before installing firmware, the technician should verify the integrity of the downloaded file by comparing its MD5 checksum with the one provided by the manufacturer. A mismatch indicates the file may be corrupt or tampered with, which can prevent successful installation. Why the other options are incorrect? A. DLP configuration. Data loss prevention settings deal with preventing unauthorized data transfer, not verifying file integrity or affecting firmware installation. B. MBR failure. The MBR is related to booting an OS, not firmware updates. C. ECC support. ECC memory support helps with memory reliability but isn't relevant to firmware file verification. Therefore, the correct answer is D. MD5 checksum. Which of the following is a system that scans outgoing email for account numbers, sensitive phrases, and other forms of PII? The correct answer is B. DLP. DLP systems are specifically designed to detect and prevent sensitive information, like account numbers, PII, or confidential phrases, from being sent out of the organization, such as through outgoing email. DLP solutions help enforce compliance and prevent data breaches. Why the other options are incorrect? A. SIEM. SIEM systems collect and analyze logs for security events but do not actively scan outgoing data like email content. C. HIDS. A HIDS monitors activity on a single host for malicious behavior but does not scan emails for sensitive data. D. IPS. IPS detects and blocks malicious traffic on the network, but is not designed to specifically identify PII in emails. Therefore, the correct answer is B. DLP. Which of the following best describes over-provisioning in a virtual server environment? The correct answer is A. Committing more virtual resources to virtual machines than there are physical resources present. This is the best definition of over-provisioning in a virtual server environment. It means assigning more virtual CPUs, RAM, or storage to virtual machines than the host physically has available, under the assumption that not all VMs will fully use their allocated resources at the same time. Why the other options are incorrect? B. This describes capacity planning or over-engineering, not over-provisioning. C. This is closer to resource bursting or dynamic allocation, not over-provisioning. D. This is related to high availability or failover planning, not over-provisioning. Therefore, the correct answer is A. An administrator is alerted to a hardware failure in a mission-critical server. The alert states that 2 drives have failed. The administrator notes the drives are in different RAID 1 arrays and both are hot swappable. Which of the following steps will be the most efficient? The correct answer is C. Replace both failed drives at the same time. Since the two failed drives belong to different RAID 1 arrays and are both hot swappable, they can be replaced simultaneously without shutting down the server or waiting for a rebuild between replacements. Each RAID 1 array mirrors data independently, so replacing one drive in each array at the same time will allow the arrays to rebuild in parallel, minimizing downtime. Why the other options are incorrect? A. This is necessary when drives are in the same array to avoid total data loss. But in this case, the drives are in different arrays, so this cautious step is unnecessary and inefficient. B. This is not needed since the drives are hot swappable, and shutting down would cause unnecessary downtime. D. Only the failed drives need replacing. Replacing healthy drives is unnecessary and could introduce new risks or complexity. Therefore, the correct answer is C. We have come to the end of today's video. If you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.